Have you ever been to CoinMarketCap?
I have, but not for a while.
It's not a site like I actually like all that much. It's kind of shitty, but the only thing I like about it are some of the comments. Like I mean, I just find the comments really ridiculous, and sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're insightful. But to be honest, I never really think too much about any of them because who the fuck knows, right? Like people talk mad shit. So you never know what the fuck is going on at all. You know what I mean? Sometimes they're like, there's companies that will post comments or people promoting like other shit. You know what I mean? Like other bullshit projects, rug pulls, or just,
or that it's just going
scammy.
to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. But I just thought that we would check out some of these comments, guy. I haven't read any of these comments before, and I wanted to see like what people are saying and what would be your take on it, because since XRP sort of won their case, right? It was deemed not a security. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think things are getting more interesting now. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Things are getting more interesting, and it seems as if China's in a stimulatory phase. So they seem to be wanting to stimulate, which means that it's going to be hard for anyone else or any of the other big countries to not stimulate. So it would be back to the races, so to speak.
Bro, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
See, it's so many fucking moving parts, bro. Like it's impossible to know what the fuck is going on, honestly. And I still feel like it's daddy Bitcoin. Like nothing's going to happen until Bitcoin gets big again. I feel like it's like the bar still control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I do. I think it is the big daddy as well. You got a lot of interesting things happening, but like, BlackRock and a bunch of big, money managers have admitted or like openly disclosed that they've got allocations in Bitcoin, and that essentially they were buying the dip, so to speak. So it'd be interesting to see. I'm keen to read these comments because, like you said, they can be hilarious. Like I've read a few over the years, but never really paid much attention to it. But I think going through and reading some of these might be pretty funny. So you've got them up on the screen.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
All right, so technical 555 says with the relative winning of XRP and the acceptance of this currency as a decentralized stock, it has stabilized a growing trend of digital currencies. Soon, with the entry of free funds into the global market, and especially the entry of capital into digital currencies, we will see a huge growth in the crypto space. Cryptos will grow a lot. Check mark to the moon. Yeah. I mean, this one's all right. This one's not as like some of the other ones I've read. But what do you think about this? Do you think this guy is right? Do you think?
I think only time will tell. I think, it's not claiming anything very specific, so it gives a decent probability of, maybe being correct. But it's been really saddening this past periods. That's why I've begun trading with a specialist. She gives me pointers and indicators. Oh yeah, classic spam. There's definitely no specialist. I've been interchanging with her for above a year. Now she's great assistance in exchanging tips. She said Bitcoin will loom this month. And it did. I'm so happy I met Kay. Who is Kay?
Yo, so exactly. This is, I don't know why. I find this so funny. And I sometimes think about, like, dude, have you ever left a comment on a crypto site before? Or
I don't think so, no. I can't remember.
No, I've straight up, dude, I've never left a comment on anything. The only thing I've ever left a comment on were my own videos that I've uploaded. So, straight up. I've never left a comment on anything in my life. So I find like this so fucking wild that people just like are putting up this shit. And then sometimes you see arguments and they're mad funny and they go on and on.
But you reckon these two are bots or what? I reckon they're bots.
Oh yeah, probably, right? Even the way it's written.
All the engagement is bot engagement as well. It'd be like little bot farms. What else we got?
Crypto Daily says Bitcoin miners face difficulty ahead of having JPMorgan warns. The report suggests that Bitcoin's price and transaction fees need to rise substantially to balance the reduced block reward. I don't even know what that means. You know what that means?
Yeah, that's it. Well, at the moment, the block reward isn't a sustainable revenue stream, so to speak, for the miners. But they still seem to be securing their network. So I don't know if the price pops, and it definitely will be.
Joe Elin Versionista.
Centralized money.
I'm no expert, but I would advise not to listen to anything JPMorgan has to say about any crypto subject. JPMorgan is the king of centralized money and would do anything to stop the most feared opposition, decentralized money, meaning the crypto world. If someone who supports BTC, Ethereum, and DeFi thinks I'm wrong, please shine a light on this. On this hodler. Oh, yeah. I believe we have an amazing opportunity with DeFi. Do not let JPMorgan in.
I think like it's probably too late for that. I feel like they're already probably in.
What's been going on with the JPMorgan thing? I know that they're one of the most powerful. Are they a fund manager?
Well, they're a bank essentially. But yeah, money manager as well. I think that it's well known that they're all probably got allocations in some way, shape, or form in Bitcoin and crypto, and that they've probably funded a bunch of DeFi projects as well, or have some roundabout way of benefiting from them going up. I think they'd be silly not to. Like, you know, if this is going to be something that challenges it, you'd want to win either way, if that kind of makes sense. It's like a hedge. So I assume that they'd hedge against it.
Maker 5668. Bitcoin looks boring, but soon enough, everyone will talk about it. I predict strong movement upwards soon. Hold it on the spot.
Well, that's a nice sort of cryptic message that actually gives decent advice to say, like, you know, buy spot Bitcoin, hold it. Don't trade the other shit. Hold the spot. Seems kind of good. The price action's definitely been different since FTX has been out of the equation, and there's been some interesting shit happening with Binance.
What has been happening with Binance? I haven't heard anything recently.
Well, they're like they were getting sued, and there were rumors that CZ might have to step down. But like I haven't honestly put too much into this. It's just kind of like a couple of people that I follow on Twitter posted some stuff about it, so to take it with a grain of salt. But there's definitely been some like interesting price action between BNB. I think BNB, and then having to like sell Bitcoin reserves to kind of backstop BNB. But again, not super sure how accurate any of that is.
The last thing I heard was CZ sort of defending himself when there was an interview I saw where people were asking him, you know, what happened to FTX? How do we know that you are not doing the same thing, right? And he was sort of giving some sort of explanation. I don't remember what it was, though. Do you remember that? There's a couple interviews that people asked.
No, I haven't seen it, but I think like the most obvious answer is like he's not an effective altruist. So like Sam Bankman-Fried, the most funny thing is like he wanted to give all his money away, but all he really did was like fucking steal and give everybody else's money away.
Yeah,
little sucker. I don't trust them vegans, bro.
Yeah, 100%, guy. They're trying to ruin the world.
Yeah, you know, he was living off this. Oh, was it Sam's something? It's like a patch that you put on, and it's like essentially like amphetamine. It's like an amphetamine patch. He was wired like constantly. It was like antidepressants and amphetamines and like these crazy cocktails and chemicals that would just have him wired. If you look back in hindsight, it's really obvious. You can look back at interviews and he's like always twitching his leg or like, you know, like, you know, got nervous. Like he's got so much, you know, what would the word be? He's got so much sort of nervous tension.
Stimulation.
Stimulation. That's the one. Like, yeah, highly overstimulated. And then apparently they'll have like mad orgies and shit. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I heard that too. That's crazy. Yo, people were trash talking the girl that he was with. Yo, I was down with her, right? Those big glasses. I would have orgies with her, no problem. I don't know why people were bashing that. I was totally down. I think she was Asian.
Hey?
She was Asian of some
she's
sort.
white as.
Really? Fuck. Who? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm
I
thinking of
think
somebody else, but I remember
your
she was kind
memory
of weird
might.
looking.
Yeah, she's definitely different looking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She had a
That's what I was
fetish for
down with,
like
guy.
powerful men.
Oh, okay. So Sam supposedly was a powerful man. I mean,
Wow.
monetarily,
Yeah, that's right.
but
And
like,
short term, he was definitely. I don't know about now. This is interesting. This one you got up, landindex.io. I asked ChatGPT when Shiba Inu will reach $1. It says, it's like, that's hilarious. Like, I don't know. Is this just like baiting people to try and get them to buy it? Like, do these people, like, obviously they, like, they're obviously invested in Bitcoin, but like, are they hoping that their posts help it to like rally?
yeah, that's what I think, dude. I straight up think so. And people they'll go on, like the same people who post here will post the exact same comment on the Matic, Phantom, Solana, like you name it, XRP. They'll go on there and they'll post the exact same shit. So you don't even have to go to the other ones to see these people's comments. Like you just go to the main one, the BTC, I would say, and everything is there.
I
So
wonder. I wonder
don't,
if we did like sentiment analysis on all of the comments, like over a time period, if we could infer anything from this. Like, is there a correlation between the sentiment on the comments here and price action, or is it like an inverse correlation? So, like when everyone's really like bullish on these comments, is there like does the price go down, or like when everyone's really bullish, does the price go up? Like, I reckon we probably could do that. How many comments? Like, can you just go infinitely back on this? Like, is there like a ridiculous amount of these?
I don't know. There are probably. Let's see.
Seems to
I'm
be
gonna
a lot.
go. Yeah, it seems like I can just like keep going.
I wonder if we could get that feed and we could just like do sentiment analysis on all the comments.
The CoinRise Media. After a delay, Europe is gearing up to launch its first spot BTC ETF, marketing a potential milestone in the region's crypto asset landscape. Keep an eye on this space as we bring you more updates.
It'd be interesting to see how many views these things get, eh?
I can only see how many hearts they get. This one got 2 hearts.
Yeah, no. Are these
But
posted from
yeah,
Twitter or what?
I don't even know what I don't use Twitter, so I couldn't even say. But does this look like a Twitter post to you? Is that why you're saying that?
Yeah, kind of does look like
Oh,
a Twitter
here's
post. And it's got Twitter at the, like, let's see, I don't know if this is like, is it posted from Twitter and they've got this, like, they pull that onto this feed, or like, if you go on, you can write how you feel there, yeah?
yeah,
Like,
you
if
can
you
write.
exit, you could just
I
write a
think
comment. You
so.
need to have an account or anything?
God, I don't know. I've never left. I've never like been interested in leaving a comment, so I don't even I don't
Okay.
even know, guy. Sorry. Yeah,
I don't know.
probably. I assume so.
Does anybody know of anyone that does sentiment analysis based off these sorts of websites like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko or any of those things, and have like that actually make good predictions based off the sentiment analysis? If you do, comment below. Let us know. I want to read into this. It's an important invention in the history of the world since the internet. Roger Ver. Who the hell is Roger Ver?
I have no idea.
Can we just do a quick search?
Yeah, for sure. Yo, the most important invention in the history of the world. It's a little bit intense, guy. Can you still see my screen?
Yes. Like, I don't know about that. I feel like AI is probably going to be.
Roger Ver is an early investor in Bitcoin. So he's
Of course,
probably
he's
a
going to say
Bitcoin
that.
millionaire or billionaire.
What has he
Yeah,
done? What else is he notable for?
guy. I think that might be it. Let's look at his Wikipedia.
I'm down for pumping your own bag, but like,
Well, I imagine any sort of investor is going to be doing the same thing if they have if they're, if they can
yeah,
be in the news
absolutely.
somehow, or like all these guys have to promote all the shit that they buy into. That's why, if you see someone pumping up a project that they're invested in, you can only take it. Obviously, it's biased.
Yeah, if you see them pumping something, you can almost infer that they'd be invested in it in some way, shape, or form. Which I don't think is a bad thing, right? It's just obviously just understanding that is the case. But yeah, like, I don't know about the most important. Like, I think Bitcoin's an amazing invention, breakthrough. combination of different technologies. Like leveraging computational irreducibility to secure a network is phenomenal. That's really cool. I'm a fan of it, obviously, but I don't think it's going to be the solution to all the things, unfortunately.
No, fuck no. Fuck no. It's a very minor part in this big picture of things.
Bitcoin price predict until 100K. See you soon, guys. Thanks,
Well,
team.
who was it that said it was going to hit a million in 90 days? Who was it?
Balaji.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was that other guy? Damn, we've talked about it. Oh, Sayer. No, Sayer.
Saylor. Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor. Did he say the same thing?
I don't know. I don't think he would have made that bet. It was I think why Balaji made the bet was to bring attention to the economic situation in America and around the world, different things. I think it was more like a marketing hype thing as opposed to like it being real. Like it was interesting. It got a bunch of people's attention. I was interested in it. I didn't think it was likely that it would go to $1 million. But I thought like what he was doing and the way he was doing it was kind of clever. That makes sense.
Gotcha. Even though I think reading graphs is kind of bullshit, what do you think about this sideways movement for almost the past year?
When's that? What's the time today? June 23.
Oh,
is that June 23?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
this is 1 month. I thought I had
we should be
the
up
1
a
year
bit.
selected.
Yeah, we're up a little bit from the lows.
My bad.
Yeah, look, I'm not a big chart guy. Okay, so can we just have a tangent for a second on what charts are?
Yeah, 100%, guy. Because, yeah, go ahead.
So charts are like a very low dimensional representation of a very high dimensional thing. So it's kind of like, all the different things you can measure are like the health stats of a body kind of thing. And looking at one in isolation is like, can be misleading and doesn't necessarily like, try to predict next moves off the chart, like off that can work in certain circumstances. It's always obvious in hindsight, that's for sure. But like ahead of time, it doesn't really, like if you're just measuring your heart rate, predicting the next heart rate based off like previous heart rates, if you have like a regular routine that you go through, could be pretty useful. Does that kind of make sense? Like if you regularly wake up and do the same thing, you go for a jog, go to the gym, you do this, you do that, and you have enough data on your heart rate, then you could probably with a certain degree of certainty predict like, your heart rates in the future. Yeah. But if you change your routine, then all of those historical predictions go out the window. Does that kind of make sense as an analogy?
Absolutely. There's too many moving parts to just solely attempt to read a graph and predict the future. I think it's impossible. I think the guys that talk about the the double shoulders with the head and the whatever the fucking analogy that they use is, I think it's all bullshit. And it's because like what you said, they're only looking at a unidimensional thing in such a multidimensional world. Is that basically the analogy in a nutshell?
Yeah. And the other was but the head and shoulders and that kind of stuff, like there is some merit to it. Like it isn't all bullshit. That's the crazy thing. Like, well, it kind of is, but because people believe that it is a thing, then it kind of becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, like it does, but sometimes I feel like, well, you can say that you were right if you make the right call, and if you make enough calls, you might make enough right calls after a while, and so I mean, I think sometimes it could be a lot of that as well, to be honest. But I just think like, look, Twitter. Remember when Elon, he basically he initiated one of the biggest pumps and one of the biggest dumps of Bitcoin. Remember that? Sorry, I'm just plugging in.
When he was buying into Bitcoin.
Yeah, like he pumped up Bitcoin like crazy, and then when he dumped it, it dropped like crazy. He had a huge effect on the market, and that was just one person.
But yeah,
on Twitter.
Yes. But I would also like, if you zoom out a bit from just the Elon, if you look at what was happening in the world with monetary policy and the flows of money at the same time, it correlates with that, right? So it just so happens that when he was selling his Bitcoin and his Tesla stock was like the top of the market. Yeah. And then the contraction or the change in money flows, the contraction in money supply started to sort of kick in about that time as well. And so he timed it really well. So I don't know if you could say like, if you zoom in and you just look at Elon, you can say, oh, he caused this and he caused that. But if you zoom out, you realize that it was like a confluence of other factors as well. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Do you think Twitter can have an effect on the price of Bitcoin in any way?
As like a platform? Yeah, there's 300 million people. Is it 300 million users on Twitter? Something like that? With like, there's a lot of billionaires and people with a lot of money on there. So like, yeah, if they're getting their information and making decisions based on that, then absolutely, yeah.
What other large factors do you think?
Well, so I think it's a good way to sort of analogize. Like, if you think about the flow of money, right? The creation and the putting of money into a system and the pulling of money out of a system, and then the way that money flows throughout the system. Like if you think about like the planet as like an organism, all right, and the central banks are like the hearts that pump the money around. Does that kind of make sense? So if you zoom out far enough, you can sort of, at a very high level of abstraction, you can sort of see that there is a flow of money. Like money will be created in places, and then it will start to get pushed through to different areas, right? So like, governments can do this when they provide like programs or incentives or funding for different stuff, right? Central banks, when they're lower interest rates, make it like easier for people to sort of get money. So there's more money in the system. So it's like flowing through. But then you want to look at like, okay, how does the money flow around the world? How does it go from country to country, person to person, all that kind of different stuff. Yeah. So what was happening with the COVID stuff, like there was lots of money created. And so there's more money in the system. And so then, there's that argument that's why the Bitcoin and the crypto and all the risk assets pumped so high, was because there was just so much extra liquidity or money in the system. Yeah. And it had to go somewhere. And these tokens sort of absorbed that, right? Like they took that money on board because there was just so much of it around. And then as that money got pulled out, they all started to crash. Yeah. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, that makes sense, Gary.
And so it's finding the right levels of abstraction to look at it from. And so if you think now, like we've been in a sort of contractory period, if that's even a word, where the money's getting pulled back out, if that makes, like the money's getting pulled out of the system or reallocated, and interest rates are going up. So it's, it's harder to get loans for things. So you got to pay more money to get a loan. So the cost of money is going up, right? Like money's becoming more expensive, so to speak. And so if you look at those big flows, then if you zoom out enough, you can see that when the crash happened, when the prices all went down, it was because there was that contraction starting. So the COVID times was the money, like lots of money flowing in through the system, which pumped all these things up. And then as that money came back out, they all deflated back down again. Some of them went to zero. There's a bit of a reshuffling, etc. But like, I think looking at that high level view, like what's actually happening at a global scale with money, like how much money is being created or how easy is it to get money or what the cost of money is, that's kind of like being able to tell the tide. Yeah. And like, there's no point trying to swim against the tide, so to speak.